Arts Week. My name is Kate Ali, and I'm the new Public Art Manager. I grew up in this community, and I have many memories of listening to the buzz that sort of goes through Eugene around who made it into the Mayor's Art Show, who made it into the salon. And it was something noticeable because it was a discussion about visual art in Eugene, and it happened once a year. So it feels appropriate that we're growing on that and making it larger and working with partners. So now we have Lane Arts Council and Maud Kearns also working with us to create Visual Arts Week. So throughout the week, we're going to be having pop-ups such as Sean Season over here, as well as the Trashin' Show with the Opal Arts Center in A3. So make sure and grab a Visual Arts Week schedule. Those can be found between the salon here and around the Fifth Street Market as well. So it's so important that we all come together and take a moment to really think about art in the community, and also to thank the artists in our community for what they do. We appreciate you, and we recognize that that's a lot of work. A lot of you are working 2 jobs and making art on the side, so thank you so much for all that you do. We recognize that it's a lot of work. I'd like to get everyone's attention, please. Everybody's attention. Everybody's attention. Okay, we're going to take just a moment and have a moment of silence for a few artists of ours that passed away this last year, and also for those artists that we didn't catch that passed away this year. Beverly Sosi and Donna Crispin, let's have a moment of silence, please. These women are great examples of not only being artists, but being art leaders. And we appreciate all of you out there who are doing that. And now I get a chance to introduce the fabulous Mayor Lucy Vinnis.
Thank you so much, and welcome everybody. It's great to see you here tonight. Isn't it great to be back for the art show and the Friday Art Walk? It makes me so proud to be a part of this community that is so full of talent and energy and passion for working together and being together. I am so impressed by the art that is in this show, which is just astonishing. I'm sure many of you have already had a chance to walk through this, but there are so many pieces here where, you have to ask yourself, how did this happen? How did they create this work? Every piece is something astonishing and different for me. So kind of one of the hardest challenges I have is, how do I pick my favorite? But I want to give a couple of shout outs first. I think it's really exciting to see 4 artists from the Oregon Social Learning Program in this show. Weren't they amazing? Really amazing. Just wonderful, both design elements and use of color. I just thought all 4 of them were really fantastic. I thought all of the, there's some self-portraits and other portraits. There's a theme in this show that you probably recognize around women and around people who are overlooked or whose stories are not told. And that seems to be the story of the year, I would say, that we're now looking to, where are those stories? What part of history do we not tell? And we have a lot of artists who have reflected that theme in this show. And then the 3-dimensional pieces, unbelievable. Each one is different use of materials, different techniques. Each of those, I thought, wow, how did they even get to this place? What was the artistic and that technical challenge of creating these pieces? So I think it's a fantastic exhibit. I do have to pick 2. I picked one that is a 2-dimensional art piece and a 3-dimensional art piece. So I am going to tell you my choices this year. And I will say that I did follow the theme this year. I was particularly drawn by those pieces that were recognizing the anonymous members of our community, the anonymous history that's out there that doesn't get told. So, two-dimensional art, my choice is Kathleen Caprario's Patterns of Privilege, Say My Name. I chose this for a couple of reasons. One is that I'm just drawn to the art itself. I think she did it. It's just beautifully crafted and beautifully designed. I love the sort of horizon where the light bounces off the back. I love the pathway that she creates. I love the cutout of the Indian woman, and I think this is telling a story that isn't told about Indian women and their contributions to their communities and to our community as a whole. And she's a cutout. She's a negative space. It's, I think, just brilliantly conceived and so beautifully done. So that was my choice. And then my choice for the three-dimensional piece is Karen Russo's A Mother's Love. And again, I think this piece, first of all, just beautiful to look at, compelling. It kind of stops you in your tracks when you look at the emotion and the power of this piece. But the detail and the technique and the way she executed the work is absolutely phenomenal. And so in closing, I will just say one thing, which is I could have given an award to any single piece that's in this exhibit. They're all fantastic. And I made a choice to follow a theme. On any given day, a certain work of art is going to appeal to me, and those were the two that drew me on the day that I walked through this exhibit. On another day, others will draw me. They're all fantastic. Congratulations to all of the artists for being in this show. Your work is phenomenal. It's an inspiration, and it makes our community great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Beth. It's very exciting to hear your selections. And now I am excited to introduce the curator of this Mayor's Art Show. Do you want to?
Oh, just Kathleen.
Do you want to?
Yes, this.
I take direction well. And I have fabulous shoes right
Well, the mayor.
here. Oh, yes.
The mayor has chosen your piece, the two-dimensional piece. See this one? Karen Russo. I see her right there. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Venice. Well, thank you. My name is Shannon Santiago, and I had the great privilege to curate the show. We put a call to artists out, and we were amazed at the outcome. We had over 200 submissions, and we had to select about 50. But the work was incredible and inspiring. Kiss it. And I was fortunate to work closely with a group of jurors that we selected. Asante Riverwind, who is an artist here in the community. Jovencio de la Paz is an art professor at the University of Oregon and an artist himself. Mila Oliveira, who is an arts educator and a painter, and also Danielle Knapp is the curator at the Jordan Snitzer Museum of Art. So we were really fortunate to have their incredible experience to look through the art and just their heart. They put their heart and their soul into having conversations with our work. So I really want to thank our jurors for being here and helping us build this incredible show. And so with that, I will introduce Asante and Jovencio and Mila, and they are going to share with you their choice this year. Thank you.
Shannon's been amazing to work with, and actually everybody And to have so much wealth of art in this community to choose from, it's not easy. You know, what gets in, what doesn't. But we have quite a few runners-up, but we ended up picking Nimbus by Charlie Swain. Because you help show where art is going and a community collaborative effort. You did a beautiful job there. Would you like to say something?
Well, if I were to if I were to say anything about the piece, I would pretend we haven't said anything about it yet and talk. It was a pleasure to look through and receive all of the amounts of work that we did, and this piece in particular inspired us and for its potential to really engage the city and engage the people in the city and the elements in a very new way. Living in Eugene, we all know the rain and a level of darkness really, really well. And during the rain comes and the cold comes and the darkness comes, and many of us during those conditions will tend to retreat and to isolate, myself included, unfortunately, a lot of times. So this piece, it was really refreshing to, as it pointed out, a new perspective where people became clouds and took over the streets and walked around together in the dark, in the rain, with their little umbrellas. And this notion of embracing these qualities of the city and the natural events that we go through and the things that we are constructing together, and to do that through relationships and through the occupation of the spaces in such poetically, I would say, humble way, right? Because it's about people getting together and wearing costumes or doing something, just walking around and sharing stories. Anyways, this is the quality of work that I personally really adore, and it's a quality of work that makes us artists see each other better and be in the process of making together, regardless of what formats that piece ends up taking. And I love it. I love having the piece in the show. I also really have to appreciate the fact that there was a stunning consideration to building a sculpture and building a foundation for people now to experience the reverberations of that experience into a new format. And so thank you, Charlie. Thank you for keeping the process alive, and I hope to be in one of your next endeavors if they come. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. One thing that I did not mention before, out of those over 200 submissions, some of those that did not make it into the show are over at the New Zone Gallery in the Salon des Refusés. Wonderful, amazing work. I feel really honored to have both of our spaces so close and in this celebration of creativity and community. So thank you very much. Thanks for being here.
Okay, there's just so much to say. One final thing, there was also a writing workshop that Vicki Amoros led this last few months, over a month ago? July. Yeah, okay. And out of that workshop, there's going to be a series of writings that occur that will be responding to works in the Mayor's Art Show. And so that will be posted on the Eugene Contemporary Art blog. If you're not familiar with that, please familiarize yourself. It's a great site. So that'll be a continuation of this dialogue, right? And that's what we're trying to really push forward, is the ability to communicate about the arts more and more with the visual arts. So thank you, Vicki, and thank you to all those writers who worked on that. Thank you. All right, so First Friday Art Walk will continue. We are now headed down to the Bridge Contemporary Art Exhibitions. So please follow me if you're interested to learn more. Thank you, and thank you. What's that? Oh, we're hanging out for 15 minutes, so please take a look at the Mayor's Art Show.
Connect artistically a little bit better here.
Starts here, right?
Well, it's 2 o'clock, so thank you very much for coming to the atrium today. We're going to have Linda Daniels and Janet Naylor, and they're being joined today by Jody St. Clair, share some Celtic music. Let's give them a nice welcome.
Thank you, Tom. I don't know how many years Tom has been doing this, but every year for a long, long time there's been a free concert at the Atrium on Saturday afternoons, and we've been very pleased to be part of that a number of times. There are a couple of people here who have been guests with us before, James and Sheila, and we are very pleased to have Jody playing with us today. She and I have been doing twin fiddle stuff for a while, and one day we decided, this is sounding pretty good, let's put it out there. So that's what we're going to do in a program of mostly Irish music, because you know what time of year it is. Okay. Ready? The first one was called Willie Coleman's. Willie Coleman was a fiddler, a famous fiddler, and he died back somewhere in the 1960s. That tune was credited to him, and in fact, the first few notes of it were engraved on his headstone. And at the funeral, another well-known fiddler of the time was heard to whisper to yet another well-known fiddler of the time, "I really wrote it." Who knows? We still call it Willie Coleman's. The second tune was The Cliffs of Moher. I've been there. It's 700 feet straight down to the Atlantic Ocean. You crawl up on your belly if you really want to look over the edge, because it's also very windy there.
The Cliffs of Insanity from Princess Bride.
Could be. And we'll follow that with Hornpipe, The Rights of Man. And yes, it related to Thomas Paine's pamphlet, The Rights of Man, during the American Revolution. And follow that with a reel, Audubon Chapel. It's written by, oh, doggone it, why can't I think of it? Irish fiddler who emigrated to the U.S. and spent much of his life in Philadelphia. Don't know where Audubon Chapel is, but it's a great tune. Song about Irish comfort food. A dish called colcannon, a lot of mashed potatoes and cabbage and butter and as much cream as you can manage to include. It's called the Little Skillet Pot.
Did you ever eat colcannon made from lovely pickled cream with the flour and scallions Did you ever make a hole on top to hold the melting flake of the creamy flavored butter that your mother used to make? Yes, you did, so you did, so did he, and so did I. And the more I think about it, sure, the nearer I'm to cry. Oh, wasn't it the happy days when troubles we had not, and our mothers made come cannon in the little skillet pot? Did you ever bring potato cake in a basket to the school, tucked underneath your arm with your book, your slate and rule? And when teacher wasn't looking, sure, a great big bite you'd take of the curry flavored buttered soft and sweet potato cake. Yes, you did, so you did, so did he, and so did I. And the more I think about it, sure, the nearer I'm to cry. Oh, wasn't it the happy days when troubles we had not, and our mothers made come down and did the little skillet pot? Did you ever go a-courting as the evening sun went down, and the moon began a-peeping from behind the hill down, as you wandered down the moor and where no leprechaun was seen, and you whispered loving phrases to your little fair Colleen? Yes, you did, so you did, so did he, and so did I. And the more I think about it, sure, the nearer I'm to cry. Oh, wasn't it the happy days when troubles we had not, and our mothers made come cannon in the little skillet pot? Sure, the nearer I'm to cry. Oh, wasn't it the happy days when troubles we had not, and our mothers made come crying in the little skillet pot?
Jody, would you play us some tunes?
Gladly. We're going to be doing White Petticoat, which is a jig, and we'll be going into Star of Munster, which is a reel.
one off? We have one more song and one more set of tunes for you. This song is definitely about the Irish-American experience, Paddy on the Railroad. Many of the Irish settlers here, as you well know, were builders of the railroads, and this is the hard times story that one of them tells. And we're going to follow it with just a little shot of a tune called Paddy on the Handcar, which is an Irish-American tune, which I learned about 40 years ago from a man who was in his 80s then, who had learned it from his father in Montana. And it's got a good Irish pedigree because it's related to a whole bunch of tunes called Paddy on the Turnpike, Paddy on the Handlecar, more Paddies on the Railroad. You'll see.
Paddy went everywhere. In 1841 I put my corduroy breeches on, to walk upon the railway, filling me uri-uri-ay, filling me uri-uri-ay, filling me uri-uri-ay, to walk upon the railway. In 1842 I left the old well for the new, bad cess to the luck that brought me through, to walk upon the railway, filling me uri-uri-ay, filling me uri-uri-ay, filling me uri-uri-ay, to walk upon the railway. In 1844 1843, 'twas then I met sweet Biddy McGee. 'Tis an elegant wife she's been to me while walking on the railway. Filling me uri, uri, eh, filling me uri, uri, eh, filling me uri, uri, eh, to walk upon the railway. In 1844, my back was getting mighty sore, my back was getting mighty sore while walking on the railway. Filling me uri, uri, eh, filling me uri, uri, eh, filling me uri, uri, eh, to walk upon the railway. In 1845, I found myself more dead than alive, found myself more dead than alive while walking on the railway. Filling me uri, uri, eh, filling me uri, uri, eh, filling me uri, uri, eh, to walk upon the railway. It's packed to this and packed to that without a stocking or cravat and nothing but an old straw hat while walking on the railway. Filling me uri, uri, eh, filling me uri, uri, eh, filling me uri, uri, eh, to walk upon the railway. In 1847, sweet Biddy McGee, she went to heaven. If she left one child, she left 11 to walk upon the railway. Filling me uri, uri, eh, filling me uri, uri, eh, filling me uri, uri, eh, to walk upon the railway. In 1848, I learned to drink my whiskey straight. 'Tis an elegant drink that can't be bait while walking on the railway. Filling me uri, uri, eh, filling me uri, uri, eh, filling me uri, uri, eh, to walk upon the railway. Oh, filling me uri, uri, eh, filling me uri, uri, eh, filling me uri, uri, eh, to walk upon the railway. Okay, we're going to finish up with another tune from the last of the great Irish harpers, Turlough O'Carolan. And at some point he was he had patrons who were Anglo-Irish, many of whom went to the courts in Europe and heard Baroque-style music of the courts. And some of that crept into his music, and you will hear some both Irish elements and Baroque music elements in this particular tune, Carolyn's Draft.
And before we end today, thanks once again to Tom Geddes for putting this series together for so many years. It is, as always, a great pleasure to play with Janet, and a very special pleasure to have Jody join us today.
Another thing, if you're not already on the Atrium Chamber Music series, please talk to Tom Geddes in the back, and he'll get on the email list. It's well worth it.
Thank you, Janet.
I know.